what was the most difficult thing for you to try to get into character, knowing that this was a real person? This isn't a fictional character.
No.
You know, this isn't somebody's thought. You know, one day while they're eating breakfast.
Exactly.
This is a real live person whose wife went through the turmoil, and
That you did.
how did you do that?
I mean, there's two things. There's two answers to that question. One is I've been involved in the firefighting community for 30 years. I was a volunteer firefighter, wildland firefighter, when I was 21. I was illegally doing it because I was working on a show in Tucson, Arizona. I met a guy named Danny Martin, who was it was airport fire. He was part of airport fire. And I wasn't really one to hang out with a bunch of actors for whatever reason. And I met him out in the desert. He lived in a trailer that, you know, whose roof was collapsing. He had duct tape on it and all that. So instead of driving into town 45 minutes, I'd stay on his couch most nights. And we just got to know each other very well. And because of that, I got involved in the firefighting community. I loved those guys, you know, Firehouse Tacos, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was just, it's one of those things that you're always looking for a community that you click with. And for some reason, timing or whatever, it was just a community that I seemed to meld with immediately. And all the ribbing and all the shit that goes on behind the scenes. And it's a very respectable, I think one of the most respected professions. And what's the word? You know, there's a lot of selfless professions that have that are tainted with stuff right now, whereas the firefighting community is the last clean profession. And to me, like, you know, whether I'm with friends or whatever, when you see a fire truck go by, it's almost like it's a constant regression. And you have to wave,
right.
And all you want them to do is hit that horn, you know, and that's it. And that's what I've always had as a kid. And then once I got involved with the community, I got very close with them. I became a volunteer firefighter, even though I was working at the time, and I couldn't tell the people I was working for that I was doing that. I was in fully engulfed structures when I was training, and I garnered a massive respect for that community. So then, crazy enough, I lived in Prescott, Arizona, totally unrelated for a year. I'm still friends who was there last night, who's now an incident commander, who was my chief back when. That was 30 years ago. He was at the premiere last night. I'm seeing first responders that I know on the carpet. So it's very personal to me. So when this thing came along, it was me really, you know, usually you're like, can I have a job? Can I have a job? Can I have a job? And it was me kind of looking at Joseph Kosinski and all these actors and saying, are you willing to go all the way?
Yeah.
Are you gonna wear in your nicks and like start complaining about your blisters? Or are you just gonna walk through it, you know, until they fit?
I'll show us some pictures of
blisters. Oh, did he? Did he? Just bloody boots,
yeah.
Man. And then you're dealing with the families, and I've done that. I've played a lot of people who are real, but then when you're like Amanda Marsh is like a little sister to me now. I mean, we talk every day. You know, the parents were tough, which they should have been. If, you know, it was less than 3 years that had passed when I talked to them, and the first thing the mother said, which I totally respected, was tough, but she looked at me and she goes, Eric was a lot taller than you. That was the first thing that she said, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be. But I respected it, you know what I mean? And what I got with the families that I knew before, and then the families that I know now, is there's just honestly, like, I'm sorry for the word, but just no bullshit.
Right.
It's just straightforward, no bullshit. And I like those stakes. I like trying to live up to those stakes.
Absolutely.
You know? So, it was just really personal for me. So to be able to see the movie now out there and to have first responders and to have families reacting to it the way they do, it's amazing to me. Like, for a guy to look at me, for a chief to look at me, or just first responder, or fireman like yourself to look at me and say, you got it right. It's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Like, Backdraft was good, but it wasn't as accurate.
Absolutely.
Or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Not to talk bad about another movie, but that was a through line for us. Like, put away all the entitlement, put away the vanity. You're always going to wear 45-pound packs. I'm going to weigh them randomly. You're going to carry your 25-pound saw. And then we had a game, and then I'll shut up, but we had a game that we used to do where we were all, between shots, we'd get in a circle, We had a rock that we found about this big, and I started the game. So you'd either like pretend like you're throwing it to you and throw it to him, and it would hit him. Like how nobody lost teeth, I have no idea. Or you'd kind of toss it up like that, but you'd be looking that way. And if they dropped it on the ground, you did 25 squats with the pack, 25 push-ups with the pack, or 25 sit-ups, right? So everybody ended up doing, like not only were everybody's covered in bruises, right, the whole movie because of this rock, but they're all doing between 300 and 400 sit-up squats or push-ups. And that was the community. I said, now you get it.
Yeah,
now
absolutely.
So, you know, it's true, you know, and I'm sorry I monopolized on the whole thing, but it does. It means a lot to me. And the community is unlike any community I've ever been around in my life. And to see it out there and to see people experience that, you know, it's fun, man. I mean, it's a tragedy. But like Las Vegas, those people, they're not defined by that tragedy.
Absolutely.
There's the life. And that's
Well, I think
what
you said it
wanted
in the
people
movie
to
that,
say.
you know, could you think of a better job than this? Like, I feel
Period.
that way every day I go to work.
That's
It's
it,
just,
man.
I love what I do and it's fun.
Imagine loving what you do, and you go, yeah. Imagine loving what you do, and that's what's cool. I remember even being an actor, people were like, this shameful thing, like you're an actor, like you do pretend for a living, and I was like, I know, it sucks, you know. And then finally there was one day where I said, this is what we get to put out, stories that mean something to us. Sometimes they're fun like Deadpool, sometimes they're crazy like Only the Brave, where you get to see this community and you get to see the trials and tribulations in the families. But, you know, once in a while it's meaningful. You know, it's not just entertainment, it's actually meaningful.
You know, just like after September 11th, we got on the truck that afternoon
Yeah.
and went on calls. I can't wait for the rest of the world to experience your movie. I mean, this is it. Yeah, I'm really excited.